So I'm just trying to clean up a few things over here in our hay stack yard. We've got this old, just rotted out wagon. I'm gonna take it out to the dump. We got a burn pile out there. But I think this is a really cool wagon. I'll show you guys a closer look at it once I get it kind of torn apart a little bit. But it's got wooden axles. It's got wooden hubs. Wooden spokes between the iron rim. It's really neat. I don't know how old it is, but it's definitely older than my dad probably. What's that?
This little baby out here.
Uh-oh. Does this leave your binky?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
It's cold.
It is cold.
Yeah.
Okay, there might be something in there. Is there anything in there? No eggs yet?
Check. Let's check on that side.
The other side?
Yeah.
Okay.
That one.
You see any eggies in here? Say, it looks nice. We just cleaned all the shavings out the other day. Looks better, huh? Okay, let's go. So I've got Els with me today, so we're gonna go over and see what we can get done. I'd like to probably be my last day of cleaning things up. I got one more bigger project I want to do with him today. I'll show you when we get over there what I'm thinking. And then, believe it or not, I've seen some grass starting to sprout a little bit on that pasture piece that we drug the other day, where we've been wintering the cows. So I wanna, after I feed tonight or this afternoon, and get the cows moved out of there, I want to put up that electric fence and get that fenced off to keep them from going in there and just overgrazing that before it gets a chance to come up. So we got that going. So we want to put up that electric fence. Want to finish cleaning off this concrete pad over here. We got to feed, of course. And if we get time, maybe we'll drag that piece again with the harrows before we put the fence up. But I don't know if we get time to do that or not today. Especially with me having Ellis. You know how it is with having the young kids with you. They seem to slow you down a little bit. And I forgot to show you guys yesterday these axles that I was so excited about off the old wagon. So this is an old wooden axle. So we got the wooden axle, you got all the metal pieces here. What I thought was so cool was the hub. So this is all wood with metal, and it's got little wooden spokes inside here, and you know, this wooden surface area here.
What is this?
It's an axle.
For what?
Well, it was under a wagon.
Oh.
Kind of cool, huh?
It's big.
What's that?
It's big.
Is it dig?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't dig. And this is the front axle that had the yoke on it. I just thought they were really cool. I couldn't bring myself to throwing them away. So I want to keep them and set them up somewhere, maybe like a yard ornament or something. First things first this morning, kind of a funny story from last night. One of my sisters and her husband had a whole bunch of these electric fence posts that they were getting rid of. So when I went over there last night to pick them up, they had this whole barrel full of them outside, and it was full of water. And of course that water sitting outside all winter was frozen solid. I'd taken Lindsay's car up there, Lindsay's Subaru up there, because I figured I could just pull these fence posts out and set them in the back of the car. But I get up there and this barrel's full of water and I can't pull the posts out. Like I said, they're frozen in water. That ice comes up to about here, So you got 1.5 foot of ice in here. And it about took all what I had and my brother-in-law had to pick that thing up and throw it in the back of the Subaru. And I drove it home with the hatch open in the back. So what I need to do this morning is I'm gonna set up that torpedo heater and have it blow in there at a, at a distance. I don't want to melt any of the plastic posts. I'm gonna set it up and have that thing blown in here to melt that ice. What is that, buddy?
It's a thing that to my coat.
Oh, it's a burr. You already finding burrs?
Yeah. It sticks to my coat.
It's a green burr. Must have already been stuck to your coat at one point. It's like I was saying, I want to set up that electric fence today, so I'm going to need these posts, and hopefully we can get them melted out of that ice and use them here this afternoon. Go outside?
No.
Okay, push this button. Okay, there it goes. Ready? So this is the last big thing on my cleanup list for the spring. And there's always plenty of things you can clean up and tidy and organize, but I've only got so much time to put towards this, and this is kind of the last thing on my list that I wanted to get done. So what we got here is, of course, here's the Quonset, and over here is our corrals. So we've got the chute there, and of course all the other pens and the Quonset here. So we've stored implements on this concrete pad for quite a while. We've got the plow here, an old snow blower, an old bagger that we use on occasion, and some fence posts, and then just some rotted wood that I need to just throw away, and this older horse trailer here. And over on this side, we've got the 20-foot drills, post hole digger, gopher machine. So if you guys aren't familiar with what this is we call it the gopher machine, and what it does is it plants like poison oats or whatever down in the ground. So you drag it kind of like a plow, and you fill that full of poison oats or whatever the poison is, and it furrows it in the ground, and supposedly it's supposed to help kill gophers. But my dad jokes that any more of the poison oats that you get aren't strong enough to kill them, so you just fatten them up, and so we use that on occasion. Then we've got this 8-packer. So this would grab 8 small bales at a time. Then we've got a fluffer here. So this would go through and fluff up windrows if they got rained on. But what I'd like to do is, besides, I probably want to move everything but this 20-foot drill, because I'm sure we'll use this drill later this spring. We'll just move it then. But what I'm wanting to do is, if you guys remember from a video, it's probably been 1.5 years ago, when we were building this elk fence. So when we were building this elk fence, I showed you guys when I built these 2 braces here, but we ended the wire part of the elk fence on this brace. Then on this brace this way, I just stuck in 2 of these freestanding panels that I've built, and with the intention one day we'd probably turn this into another pen in the working corrals. And so that's what I'm trying to get that's what I want to get prepared for today, just cleaning up all this stuff out of the concrete pad here, so then we can turn this into another working pen for our corrals. And the reason I told you guys in the past that I stuck these oil-filled pipe and sucker rod panels here instead of running the rest of that net wire was because I didn't think that net wire would be the best thing to have in a corral. If you had cows pushing on it and calves and everything, I wanted something a bit more strong that they could push against and crowd up against. So that's why I put these oil-filled panels here instead of the net wrap or the net wire for the elk fence, or from the elk fence. I'm just talking, Ellis. So I don't know if this is one of them projects I'll get done this year, but the first step to doing this project is getting this cleaned up and being able to work in here and make it happen. It wouldn't take much to make this another pen. What, buddy?
Why there's a rope in here?
Why there ropes in there? I think it's probably just baling twine, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, those are old serpentine belts.
Oh.
Yeah.
I want to play with some more than new.
Yeah, you can play with them for a minute. So I'm sure some of you are wondering why there's even a concrete pad here. And I'd have to ask my dad for sure, because I know he's told me in the past. I'm pretty sure this is where they would pile up the manure from when we used to have the milk cows. Because before my dad and grandpa built this Quonset, the milk cows were out in here, and they'd fill this shed here, this whole hay shed full of hay, and then they'd just pitch the hay down into these mangers, and this is where the milk cows would be fed. It's along these mangers here, and then that was their shelters back there, the loafing sheds. And I'm pretty sure that all they did was they'd just take all this manure that would build up in here and push it onto the cement pad here. And that's when they would come through and clean it up and throw it in the manure spreader and go spread it. So I'm pretty sure that's why there's a concrete pad here. And yeah, like I said, we've just kind of stored implements on it since then, but it'd be nice to utilize it a little bit more and make some more use of it. Okay, let's go get the next load. Turn it the other way. Okay, pick that up, push it forward. Good job. Okay, turn that one. Go back to the road. So I just took a bunch of rotted fence posts and wood out to the burn pile. But while I'm out here, I brought out a nice fence post. I'll set it right here in this on the side hoe side, because what I think this is going to be my corner for that electric fence that comes from the elk gate. And instead of putting a T-post there and then 90 and back the other way, I'm just going to put a wood post there, so hopefully it doesn't want to pull over quite as bad as if I would have just used a T-post. So we'll see how well I can set this in the ground by myself and get it somewhat straight. Well, it's not very straight, but at least it's leaning the way that we're going to be pulling against, so maybe it will pull straight. I also noticed we had a new calf out here. Let's go over here and check it out real quick. Maybe I'll bring some stuff with me when we go out here to feed here for too long. Calf's up and going, that's good. So it's kind of funny, I was just watching one of Farmer Tyler Ranch's videos the other day, and he forgot to turn off his water trough. And I just did kind of the same thing, but I forgot to turn off this torpedo heater. Luckily I haven't melted nothing, and we still got a little bit of ice, but I totally forgot I had this thing running. Well, that's not the way I wanted to start off this morning. The cable broke. I don't know how you can see this in the dark. This cable broke. It goes back to this side of the levelers. I was coming down here to the field and lost this leveler. I was able to get things pulled back together fairly close. Just gonna have to walk all the way back up the house and grab the side by side and grab a chain for now, and I think that'll at least get us going. So I just finished harrowing and leveling this pasture piece. Worked up pretty good. We like to try to do this one as early as we can, because once the snow starts melting up in the mountains, we start getting high water. This will probably eventually flood here before too long. So we try to get on this as soon as we can and get this at least leveled and drug. And that way, when the floods come, this one's already taken care of and we're not trying to work around that. Then my brother's here today, and he's running that groundhog, or what we call a groundhog. It's an implement that has a row of cultipackers on the front, and a couple rows of spring teeth in the middle, then another row of cultipackers on the back, and we pull a roller behind it. And he's working on the lower part of our hay fields. And we try to run this groundhog and that roller on this lower part of our hay fields, where this lower pivot is, just because it's a bit more rocky down here. And that ground, between the groundhog and the roller, it pushes them rocks back down in the ground. Then my dad's hooked up to a bigger 36-foot harrow, and he's going to start working on the upper pieces with that harrow. And that works out pretty good up there, because there's not near as many rocks, and you don't have to worry too much about digging up rocks and needing to push them back down. So we're somewhat strategic on what implement goes on what field and what's going to get the job done quickest. So down here on this river pasture piece, we just run this chain link harrow and the levelers usually, just because there's a lot of willows down here and a lot of swales that you're going in and out of. So that bigger harrow would probably have a harder time just with all the twisting and turning and the dips. So this works out really good down here, just pulling this littler harrow with the levelers behind it. So what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to go into these hay fields here and start going over the pivot ruts with this harrow and levelers, just try to fill them in a little bit. And as my brother and dad work on the fields with the ruts in it, they'll do a second pass technically on the ruts just to try to smooth them out a bit, because they get fairly deep later in the summer, just depending on how many times we have to turn these pivots on. So I'm gonna go in there and see if I can't level them up a bit before Michael and my dad get going too fast. Still haven't gotten around to putting the hood back on this old Alice Chalmers, but probably be on the to-do list here this spring. So I'm gonna end this one here. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching. Have a good day.